You're listening to the Plant-Based Diet Podcast, where we talk about all things plant-based. I'm Esther Garfin, the host of this show and founder of Alternative Food Network. Join me and my amazing array of guests who are a mix of healthcare professionals, industry executives, and people with an interesting story to tell about their plant-based journey. Let us help you with your journey, wherever you're at, to learn the what, why, and how to eat plant-based. I'm so happy to be back after our short hiatus. We've got a bunch of new guests lined up for this season, including top brass at a smoothie company, a clean skincare company, a chef, just to name a few. And speaking of top brass, today we're diving deeper into plant-based milk substitutes with Jason Bronstad, who is the CEO of Malk Organics, which in 2022 became the fastest growing plant-based milk among leading brands. Now, before we get started, I'd like to take a moment to thank a presenting sponsor of the show, Prolon. Prolon is precision nutrition technology clinically proven to keep you in a fasting state while nourishing your body with food. For about a half a year, just for healthy living purposes, I've been trying not to eat for a 12 to 14 hour window between dinner and when I wake up the next day. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I'm not normally a person who skips meals. So when I heard about Prolon and they offered me some of their products, I was excited because these products are designed to extend the fasting window and fat burn without triggering the body's cellular nutrient sensing pathways. You get to reap the benefits of fasting without the hunger. So far, I've tried Prolon's intermittent fasting bar and their fasting shake, and I'll tell you, I was easily able to achieve a fasting window of 15-16 hours. They also offer the Prolon Reset, which is a 1-day fasting kit, and a 5-day program. Prolon is the result of 20 years of cutting-edge nutrition research and $34 million in R&D. If this is something you'd like to try as well, Prolon is offering the Plant-Based Diet listeners a 15% discount using promo code AFN15. That's A for alternative, F for food, N for network, 15. Just click the link in the episode description and type in code AFN15 to get 15% off your order. And if you use the link, we may receive a small commission from your purchase. Now getting back to the topic of today, a growing number of consumers are opting for plant-based milk substitutes for medical reasons like allergy, lactose intolerance, or are choosing it as a lifestyle choice. And the types of plant-based milks seem endless: soy, coconut, cashew, oat, hemp, rice, quinoa, pea, almond. So I'm asking our guest today, Jason, what's in them and are they good for us? Welcome to the show, Jason.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
So in order just to help get the audience get to know you a little bit, I wanted to start with your own lifestyle choices. I heard you on another podcast, and you were mentioning that you had previously kind of an unhealthy relationship with food. So what are some of the changes you made, and was that before or after joining Malk Organics?
Yeah, thank you for asking. And it's a journey that I love to share because it's an opportunity for everyone to pursue how do you nourish your body the right way. The short answer is most of my life I was unhealthy. I was a meat and potatoes kind of guy, and I was significantly overweight, well over 300 pounds most of my adult life. And in 2019, so prior to joining Malk is the answer to that question, started to realize I am not setting the example that I need to for I've got 2 children. I've got a daughter and a son, and then my amazing bride. We hit 18 years, but I was not being the example of leading the household with nutritional choices. And I started making, progressive changes. But really, the pandemic and the opportunity to be at home and cook most of our meals really started to change. Like, what are we eating? Why are we spending so much money eating out when we can actually buy good food and cook it ourselves and start to nourish ourselves? So in that part of the journey, I lost over 100 pounds, and
Wow.
it was changing, not eating out nearly as much. And when we did, making better choices, and then increased vegetables. We significantly reduced the amount of carbs that we put into our household and thus into our bodies. But it was also understanding, and this was started with Malk, is understanding what are the ingredients in all of the foods that we're consuming. And I'll never forget the moment that my daughter was reading, she started to read the ingredient statements and she would ask questions. What is this? And she turned around a ketchup bottle and it had high fructose corn syrup. And she went, "Hey, Dad, what's what is this word?" And it's like, I need to do a better job for my family. So, my wife has embraced it, and we're really, as a team now, trying to make sure that our family's aware of what we're ingesting and how it makes our body feel.
Right. Well, that's a perfect segue then into what I want to talk about next, which is ingredients in plant-based milks. So, in preparation for this podcast, I looked in my fridge. So, I use plant-based milks, and there was an oat milk. So I took it out. I'm not going to mention the brand. I suspect many are very similar, although I don't know that as a fact. But I looked at the ingredient panel, and these are some. It's an oat milk, so these are some of
Mhm.
the ingredients. It said includes an oat base made of filtered water and gluten-free oat flour, vegetable oil, dipotassium phosphate, locust bean gum, gellan gum. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Is it gellan gum? Yeah.
It
Uh,
is correct.
okay. And then there were added vitamins and minerals. And then I
Mhm.
was on your website for Malk Organics, and I was looking at the ingredients for your oat milk, which has three ingredients: filtered water, organic gluten free oats, and Himalayan pink salt. So I want to ask you a bit about the ingredients in this competitor brand that I was reading. And if you can explain to me, what is locust bean gum, gellan gum, and are there any concerns with that?
So I always start by saying I'm not a doctor. However, the way we look at things is if we go back to the origin of plant based products, milk specifically, there was an intent to transition people from dairy over to plant based. So, in that transition, how do you ensure that you have the closest mouthfeel, texture feel, the homogenization dynamic so consumers can easily shift over? So, what the gums do is they're binders. What the oil is a binder. It allows it to stay homogenized or to stay consistently together. Without those, your product will separate. And we like to say separation is natural. So we have on the top of our lid, shake your malk well, just to make sure that you reconstitute it because it will separate because there's not those binders, gums, and oils to keep it suspended together. Now, there are a lot of studies that show that gums and oils have a very, depending on the person, a very negative impact to the gut biome and how your body has to go through and process those binders uh, throughout your system. So we have chosen as a brand to avoid any gums, oils, binders, fillers, carrageenans that would make it the mouth feel consistently stay that way. Now, when you shake your malk up, you pour it in your cereal, you pour it in your cold brew, it's not going, you're going to be just fine, but you just want to reconstitute it before you consume it. So we believe that it should be ingredients that you can pronounce and your body would recognize. So if you can't pronounce it and you don't know what it does, then why are you putting it in your body?
And what about the added vitamins and minerals in, again, this oat milk that I had
Yeah.
read? Are they trying to make it so that it has a similar nutrient profile to milk? And if so, why didn't you add that to your product?
Yeah, so it's something that we will consider in the future is, are there fortified iterations? Maybe so. We want to start with the purest, cleanest, most natural product that we can offer to consumers. Our point of differentiation is we are one of the very few organic brands in the States. And starting there is that point of differentiation as we continue to listen to our customers and our consumers is, where we want to meet consumers where they are and where they're going. Um, but to begin with, we felt it very necessary to offer up a very clean, simple ingredient that you don't have to worry about when you see the name Malk. It's clean. It's core. That is to the core who we are. It's in our DNA to be a clean brand. And if we do ever choose to put anything in there like vitamins or minerals, that we're going to do the due diligence to make sure it's what consumers most want or need at this time, and that it's from the cleanest source possible.
And is the reason to do that to make it similar to milk, what milk offers in terms of vitamins and minerals?
Yeah, the beautiful thing in the consumer packaged good place is you can pick your marketing talk and where do you want to focus. You can say same nutrients or same minerals, same vitamins, but you're ignoring the fact that you've got gums, oils, fillers, et cetera in there. So, for us, we want people to turn around, look at the entire ingredient deck and know, yes, I feel good about consuming this brand.
And Malk produces oat milk and almond milk,
Mhm.
correct?
Correct.
Why did you choose those two?
So for us, it's the Pareto principle. 80% of your volume comes from 20% of your customers, and those customers are consuming primarily almond milk and oat milk. It's the two largest bases. So there are soy, coconut, flaxseed, pea. There's lots of other bases. However, in order to deliver a high quality product to the masses, we had to start where consumers are, and that's in the almond space and the oat space. We were in almond. We had almond, cashew, and pecan up until 2020. We launched oat in 2020, and we opted in 2020, 2021 to focus just on almond and oat. Supply chain dynamics, everything else that was brought to us. There's efficiency on being focused on a few brands and doing them well. So a few bases for this situation.
And we know it's clean, but what do you say to someone who said, well, producing almonds, it takes a lot of water, not good for the
Mhm.
environment? I'm sure you've heard that before, so I'm just curious what you have to say about that.
No, I love that question. And it goes back to our ethos of transparency and integrity. What we've chosen to do is to ensure that our relationships go all the way down to the farmers. So, our primary almond supplier uses 20 to 30% less water than other almond suppliers. How do they do that? They have put significant capital investment up front as they are, building orchards, or if they acquire orchards, what they do to go put in, drip irrigation to make it the most efficient orchards that they can actually do in the state of California. So finding the right partners is important because we want our partners, the growers for oats, with the growers for almonds, to treat the land the way we would want to do it. So there's no pesticides, obviously being organic, no fertilizers. So the ethos of that transparency starts from the dirt all the way to the crop being grown, all the way through our manufacturing process to ensure that it lands to your fridge as clean and pure as possible.
And this is a question, it's purely, I'm just so curious because I have no idea the answer. There are refrigerated products, there are Tetra Pak
Mhm.
products. Can
Yeah,
you talk me through those?
absolutely. So the process to produce is not that dissimilar. So they are largely the same process, and it's really a qualification dynamic for the manufacturer that has, through the FDA and USDA, has the process approved for Tetra, which is obviously being shelf stable, the thermal process needed to ensure that there's no bacteria in your product. That being said, if you look across the globe, Tetra Pak shelf stable is far more prevalent than it is in North America. In North America, it's a small subset for plant based milks. However, it's a great unlock for an opportunity for food service, for schools, and places like that where they don't have inherently a lot of refrigerated storage space. So grocery stores have done a good job, and as plant based milks have expanded refrigerated wise, they are adjacent to milk, and then every store will have Tetra Pak or shelf stable, and it's just not as common today. I suspect over the years we'll see more of a transition towards Tetra, and as the technology, allows us to catch up to, capacity within the North America, as well as ensuring the taste is there. At Malk, we believe that it has to taste good for consumers to stay in your brand family. So not only we focus on the three simple ingredients, but it's about the taste. So if we do explore a Tetra type package, it's got to have the same delivered quality to our consumer as our refrigerated, or ESL, extended shelf life is the process called, product that is out there today.
Okay, so acknowledging that you're not a doctor, do you know of any different health differences between the refrigerated products or the Tetra Pak products?
It depends on the ingredients going into it.
Okay.
So if you can, the way you process it before it goes into a bottle, either Tetra or into ESL, into refrigerated, it's all about the ingredients going in, the quality of the product. And I think that, our partners across other continents that are primarily tetra would say, hey, it's the same quality. It tastes the same, but it's more of how can we most efficiently transport it, store it, and everything else in that dynamic with tetra. We're fortunate in North America that we've got a lot more refrigerated storage than other parts of the world.
And speaking of North America, you're in the United States, obviously. Are you in Canada as well? Because I haven't seen it.
No, as of today, we are not. We were up there for a very short amount of time, and we wanted to. We had to. Honestly, we had to get everything right first. We
Okay.
had to retract a little bit in order to move forward.
Is there a plan for Canada?
I was talking to my head of sales literally 15, 20 minutes ago, and this is something that's on our LRP, our long range plan. We want to make sure that we do it in the right way, that we deliver the product at the most fair price possible to
Hmm.
our brethren up in Canada.
Yeah. Well, let me know when that happens. Okay, another question for you. Do you recommend that people switch around their plant-based milks? So, for example, again, you have oat milk and almond milk. Do you
Mhm.
think people should switch them around just to get different micronutrients in their system, or just go with what you like?
So, it's interesting. I would have years ago say, well, yeah, switch it up, do whatever, try them all. And recently we've been doing my family did some DNA testing. We also did some food sensitivity testing to understand. And I've got a card here. This is from my daughter's testing. And
Mhm.
it literally will, like, there's items that are red and items that are yellow. And for her, oat is one of the things that she is very sensitive to. The same with my son.
Mhm.
So I'm not going to switch them into oat milk. They're going to stay on almond milk, and to ensure that there's not that sensitivity natural to their bodies. But for me, I'm all in. I have a high sensitivity to dairy.
Mhm.
So, yes, people should understand what their bodies are lacking and make sure that they're pursuing the food choices. And, you know, th- the healthcare system is not where we want it to be. So, what we
That's
encourage
an
people to do,
understatement. Yeah.
I was trying to be as nice as possible there. We encourage people to take control of their own health, find a food coach, find a nutritionist that can understand your body and understand
Yeah.
what you need, and truly to feed your body what it's lacking and to remove what it's rejecting.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest things in the health journey. And that's why we're proud to not have the gums, oils, fillers that you don't have to. I now have to, on my daughter's list, she's got a high sensitivity to cow's milk. She's got a high sensitivity to whey. So there's a lot of things that if you take the time and invest in yourself now instead of paying for medical bills later, invest in yourself, understand what your body needs to hit those nutrient desires.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll just make two comments on what you just said. One is that we're also all about prevention. I mean, that's why we do these podcasts in order to help people with their plant-based journey, right? And
Yeah.
because I do think that a more call it what you want, plant-forward diet, plant-based
Yeah.
diet, if it's whole food plant-based, then it helps with your prevention of chronic disease and also hopefully to manage if you already do have something because our health system is in shambles. So we have to kind of put the onus on ourselves. And how do we do that properly? Well, we have to educate ourselves. So this is what we're trying to help people with. And two, I mean, this is a topic for a whole other episode and perhaps even a whole other show. But with these sensitivity tests, I, they're only as good as the tests. I did one once, and I frankly was
Mhm.
not pleased with the results. I actually didn't believe the results. So
Yeah.
I for those who are listening who are considering taking a sensitive, you just make sure that there's science behind it and that you're going to a reputable place and having it done because if you take I don't know in the States what it's like. But again, as I said, I wasn't happy with the results of mine. I really did not believe that I was sensitive to so many things on that test. And if I followed it, I'd barely be eating anything. So
Yeah.
it's just a little caveat when it comes to those kinds of tests.
Agree. And the way that we view it in my household is it's a data point.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of data points. And as you start to compile different data points, and you've got to listen to your body. And part of it is you've got to get rid of the inflammation. You've got to get rid of, you've got to break the habits and what your body's accustomed to and really go with that clean whole food diet. And then you can start to very methodically reintroduce foods and say, okay, and be present with yourself. And look, as as men in general, we struggle with being aware of our bodies.
Mhm.
We struggle with being aware of emotions. So it takes the focus and the intentionality to say, okay, now I've added this back into my diet. What am I feeling? How is my body reacting? And to be present with yourself. And when you can actually be present with yourself, then your body's going to tell you the answer. Your body's going to tell you, I don't care what that test said. I ate this and my body's feeling this way. And that's really, I think, the best guide if you've got some good overarching support from professionals, but then you've got to stop and listen to your body.
Yeah, yeah. The tricky part about listening to your body is that sometimes if you're allergic to something, you'll feel it quite immediately.
Mhm.
But if you're sensitive, there's a time, there can be a time lapse, right? You might
Yeah.
feel something a few days later, and it's very difficult just to acknowledge for people listening. It is a very difficult thing to figure out what you're sensitive to. I mean, I've gone the route, so I know. But it's certainly personalized nutrition. What you were talking about, finding what's good for your own body, is the way to go. Now, in terms of finding your product in the United States, where can people find it?
Yeah, the short answer, our website has a link and you can put in your zip code. We are in all Whole Foods across the US. We're in all Sprouts across the US. And geographically, we are expanding now into more traditional grocery stores. We are in many Kroger banners in the Western US, so Ralph's and Kroger Texas, King Supers, the entire natural specialty channel. So the natural grocers of the world, Mom's Markets, Mothers, were spread throughout all of those stores. We recently launched Publix, which is a 1,300 store chain in the Southeast, so Florida, the Carolinas, Georgia, which was a big win for us, and it's performing quite well, and it just reinforces that consumers across the U.S. are looking for cleaner ingredients. It's just not available to enough stores. So our mission is to make Malk available to all consumers.
And I did see on your website just before we go, I can you tell me what the Turn It Around campaign is?
Absolutely. So, it's a part of a lifestyle choice, and we want to support and ignite people's personal wellness and lifestyle journeys. And part of that is to help you to become conditioned to the habit of I'm going to grab a product, and all the marketing's on the front, right? We're unsweetened. It's gum free. We tell you all that. Forget all that. Turn it around and go look at the ingredients. Is it a short ingredient deck? Are there ingredients you can pronounce? Be fully present and aware of what you're choosing to consume and put in your body in everything, not just Malk, your breakfast food, your lunch food. So anything that's in a package, understand that. And then when you're at the store, understand which organic options are there. Do I have organic versus non-organic? What are the most important products to make sure that I'm buying organic? So there's a lot of things that you really need to be present in the choices you make for your family. So turn it around, understand what you're putting in your body.
Excellent, excellent. I spend a lot of time in the supermarket turning things around, let me tell you.
Could you imagine a grocery store where it was just the
The
back of the
back,
label?
yeah, the back. But then you'd need the
Forget all the fancy marketing.
yeah, yeah. But then you need the product name at least on the back as well. Is that does are there on the back the
Do
product?
you?
Well, how would you know? Let's say you're looking for the oat milk. I don't know what you had in your hand there.
So this is our unsweetened almond.
So almond.
So,
So if
yeah,
it is laying that way, wouldn't you have to
yeah,
have somewhere that says it's almond milk?
yeah. That's a fair point. So, yeah,
Although I don't think supermarkets are
contains
going to do
almonds.
it.
No, they
No.
won't. And there's too much power in marketing itself,
Yeah.
and the big
Yeah.
brands have too much marketing power. But we want to continue to, on the grassroots level, encourage consumers when they're in that store and they've got options. There's a reason there's different price zones. There's a reason that there's value, mainstream, and premium in every single section of the store that you focus on. And I can say as someone that proudly leads a company with on the premium side, there's a reason it's more expensive because it costs more to grow organic. It costs more to make a product that tastes good that doesn't have all the other stuff. We're not about just what's the bottom line profit number for a product. We want to make sure that it is clean, it tastes great, and consumers will enjoy it. Because if they try our product and they hate it, they're never coming back.
Yeah.
So we want them to enjoy it and know that they're nourishing their body in a healthy way.
All right. Well, that seems like a great place to end the interview with those words. Thank you so much for joining me today as we took a closer look at plant-based milk alternatives. You definitely answered some of my questions, so thank you very much. And hopefully it's been helpful for the audience.
Awesome. Cheers. Thank you so much.
I hope you found this informative. Please rate, subscribe, or leave a review on your preferred podcast platform. It really helps the discoverability of our show. Plant-based eating is getting more and more popular, and so is our show, but please tell your friends about this series. Thanks again to our presenting sponsor, Prolon. Until next time, thanks for listening. All content provided or opinions expressed in this podcast are for informational purposes only and are not a substitute for professional medical advice. Please seek advice from your doctor or other qualified healthcare practitioner.